Good afternoon, everyone. Please let me know if you can hear me from the comment section. Let me know if you can hear me. Type a yes in the comment section if you can hear me. All right, thank you. So welcome to today's class. Today is the end of the 7 days DevOps, cloud security, cloud engineer, Linux training. Yesterday we covered how to deploy a web application on our on a Linux server, which will deploy a basic website on a Linux server, and we view the website was running, and we also start the introductions to the bash scripting. So today we are going to go in deeply into the bash scripting. So yesterday we learned how you can form a bash script shell. So today we are going to go deeply into what is a bash script and how can you use a bash script to run your day-to-day task. Yesterday we run all of this code one by one, and as we are running the code, as we ran the code yesterday, we copy each of the command, we copy it and we put it out, and at the end of the day we have a full bash scripting. So today I will now use this bash scripting, this bash script, I will use it to deploy another web application. So this is the benefit of a bash script. Whenever you are running a bash script, you can use your bash script to you can create it once and use it multiple times. So that is the main purpose of bash script. Now, yesterday we ran this code, and if you want to deploy an application like this again, we don't have to run the code or write the code individually again. We just call the script. And the script will deploy the applications that we want to deploy. So without further ado, let's start today's work proper, and I will start to introduce us to what a bash script file is. When you have a bash script, it's just a combination of commands. The command that you've tested and you know that it works individually by themselves, and when you put all of these commands together, it forms a script. And this script, anytime you want to run all the same command again, you just need to run the script, and the script we write, or we execute all the command or all the tasks that you want to perform. So how this file is created: if you want to create a bash scripting, the first thing you need to do, you need to ensure that the bash script ends with sh or bash. Before I proceed, let me connect to my server so that we have a server that we can be working with. So I have all my server running, but we're going to be using this one. This is the one that we used yesterday to deploy the web server. If I put the IP here, you will see that we still have the web server on it. Now let's say we want to deploy exactly the same application in another server. Maybe we want to have an availability, and because of this we want to run two servers. We want to have two servers running the same applications. So what we need to do is go to our terminal. Let me create another server, or let me see one of these servers that I currently have. Let's just use one of them as a replica of the one that we have currently. This is YouTube 1. Permit me to change it to, let's just call it web server 1. Let's call this one web. Oh, why is it? I'm going to call it web server 1. And let me see another one that, okay, this one too has an IP address. So let me first check this one. Does it have a web server running on it? So Currently, it doesn't have a web server running on it, and that is why you can see that it's just spinning and nothing is coming up. So we want to deploy our second web app in this server that doesn't have any web server on it. So first thing first, let's make sure that it has ability to be able to connect to the internet, or it has an SSH port opened. So I'm going to name that web server 2. I think we use this one. I'm going to name it web server 2. So we have web server 1 and web server 2. Both of them are going to run the same thing, but the instance is different. So first and foremost, let's make sure that it has an SSH. I mean, it has HTTP. So it doesn't have an HTTP. Possibly that is why you cannot view it over the browser. So I'm going to open the security group and I'm going to add an an HTTPS to it. So that way we would be able to access the web server over the internet. So I'm adding an SSH to it so that we can be able to access it over the browser. So I've added an SSH to it. Then the next thing I want to do now, let me refresh this. Possibly that is why we can't access it. So currently it's still rolling, meaning that it does not have a web server, though it do have the capacity to be accessed over the browser, but it doesn't have a web server. So now, if I want to deploy the same web application in this instance, all I just need to do is to run the script that we have yesterday, the script that we created yesterday, this script, but that is all I just need to run on that server. But before you use a file as a bash script file, the first thing that you need to do, let's create another file, and I'm going to create this file on my, let me delete this one. So I'm going to create this file. I'm just going to call it, I'm going to create this outside, and I'm going to call it web server. So any bash scripting file or any scripting file, especially bash scripting file that you want to create, it has to end with either sh, mostly sh, or the bash. So it has to end with with sh or bash. So I'm ending mine with sh. So that's turned into a bash scripting file. And secondly, when you create a file as a bash scripting file, the second thing that you want to ensure when you turn a file to bash scripting file is the permission on that file. If the file do not have an executable permission, then you will not be able to run it. So the second thing that you want to check now is to make sure that this file that we have, it has an executable permission. How can you check this? When you go to your terminal, and if you do ll, it's going to list, or to make it a little bit, just let's do ll for that web server file alone. So you can see the permission currently on this web server file. It does not have an executable permission. You can see this last line of the owner is dash, meaning that it does not have an executable permission. So if a file do not have an executable permission, then you cannot run it as a script. So first and foremost, we need to give this file an executable permission. So how do you give it an executable permission? It's just for you to change the permissions on this file. So I'm going to change the permission with change mode, which we've learned in the file permission, user management and file permission. So if I do change mode and I can specify, you know that the first three line here is for the owner of the file. So, and the owner of the file is always represented with U. So if I do H mode, if I do CH mode, U plus, then the permission that I want to give the file, the permission is X, which is executable permission. So H mode, CH mode, U plus X, then I will specify the name of the file. So now specifying the name of the file, if I press enter, then do ll again and call the name of the file. You can now save. It actually has a executable permission, but it's not showing. So, but if I clear this, now I can run this file. I can run this file as as a script file now. So to run a file as a script file, what you need to do, you can run it with either dot slash, then the name of the script file, or you do something like sh, then the name of the script file, sh, the name of the script file, like this. So you can either run it by doing dot slash the web script file, the name of the file, or sh, then the name of the file. So to run this file now, let's go to our web server and let's start creating the command. So I'm going to get the IP address of the web server, which is, we already have this web server running, so we are not going to deal with this one, the web server 1. All we want to deal with now is the web server 2. So I'm going to get the IP address of web server 2. So now I have the IP address of web server 2. Then once I have the IP address of web server 2, I want to SSH into it. So let me see what is the SSH. So it's using the finance key. So I have to use the finance key. That is going to be SSH -I finance.pem. Then EC2 user at the IP address. So with this, I'm logging into the web server. I log into the web server. Now, if I do ls and go to the var file, you can see it does not have a www there. But if I want to run this www, I have to do something like sudo yum install httpd, and I have to -y. Then after this, I have to run all the other commands. But instead of running it like this, we have a file yesterday that we used. Let me check this script file. So these are all the commands that we ran yesterday. So I'm just going to copy all of these commands instead of running them one by one again. I'm going to copy this command and I'm going to run it on this file. So the first thing I need to do is to create the script file on this server. So I'm going to create the file with touch script.sh. That is, you have to end the file name with the extension with sh to create the file. Now, if I do ll, then the script file name, you can see it gives me a file name, and the permission here is rw dash. So meaning that I cannot, as the owner, I cannot execute this file. If I do try to execute it with something like /this script.sh, you see, it say permission denied. Even let me put sudo there. See, it say command not found. And the reason being that because we don't have the permission to execute. So if I clear this and I change the permission of the file. If I change the permission of the file, with change mode, then u plus x, meaning that I'm adding executable permissions to the owner, then the file that I'm changing the permission is called script file. So with this, if I do ls script file again, you can now see that on this, it has actually changed. So we have an executable permission here. So that is the first thing you need to do when you want to run a script. When you want to use a file as a script, you need to end the extension with sh. Then you also need to change the permission so that it can be executable. Then thirdly, a script file a script, a share script file, we start with shebang. Shebangs is just a syntax that tells the script that you is running, I mean that tells the file that is running a script. And the command for, I mean the code for shebang is just this: pound sign, exclamation mark, slash bin slash bash. It depends on the kind of bash that you are using. It's possible that if you are using sh, then you can put sh there. But my own bash is I'm using bash. If you want to find out all the bash, the kind of bash that you can use on your system, there is command that you can just use to check for shell. Hmm. No, sorry, it's supposed to be echo shell or echo. So you can see I'm using shell, I mean bash. So that's why it's bin bash. So I'll clear this. So what I want to do is to open that shell script file and put the shebang there, which is then slash bin slash bash. So this is all I just need, and this turn the file that from now any code I put here is going to be a script. So what I want to do is to go to my screen and copy the code that we ran, the code that we ran manually yesterday on the other server. I'm just going to copy everything, excluding the shebang, because I already have that. So I'm going to put all the code and just paste it here. Then make sure that I have it correctly, because this bash, I mean this one wasn't there. So it's going to be sudo yum update -y. Then after the sudo yum update -y, I'm going to have sudo yum install httpd -y. Then I'm going to have sudo system control start to start the server, I mean to start the httpd. Then I also want to enable the httpd so that anytime I reboot my system, the httpd starts immediately. Then after that, I want to download the website file, which is going to be in a zip file or is a zip folder. Then after that, I want to unzip the folder with this. So once I unzip the folder, I want to remove the zip. Then I want to copy all of the file that is, or all the contents of this particular folder, everything inside the folder. I want to copy it into this directory. So that is what all of these commands are going to do. So if I press escape, oh sorry, I'm supposed to press escape, then save this file. So now I have a shell script. Then to run this, I just need to do either /script, or I can do sh, then the name of the script. Any one of them is going to work. So if I press enter, then you can now see that it started doing everything. So it's going to run all the command in that script. So you can now see how easy it is when you have all your scripts, all your command in the script, and just run it as a bash script instead of running the command manually one by one. If I have to deploy like 20 servers, I just need to put all of the command in the script and run it on the machine instead of going to the server and start running it one by one. Now, this is everything I need to do. If I should go to that server now, I expect the command to. So if I go to that server, remember that when we go to this server, it was not having the website on it. So now if I refresh, you can see without doing any further work, we have the server already. So this is how it is very, very easy to have scripts instead of running the command line by line. Then you can run all of them together as a script. So let's go deeply into the share scripting. Now you understand at least three or four things now. The first thing is, if you want to create a bash script file, it has to end with either .h or .bash, or the name of the bash, that the kind of bash that you are using. I'm using bash, so which is born again shell. That is why my script end with sh. Most of the time your script is going to end with sh. Also, when you create a file for a bash scripting, you need to give it an executable permission. If it does not have an executable permission, you cannot run it as a bash script file. It will not run. You won't be able to execute the file. Thirdly, you must have a shebang at the beginning of your script. You have a shebang at the beginning of your script. So we have three things now. The file ends with .h. You have to give it an executable permission. And thirdly, you have a shebang at the beginning of your script. Now, what are the other things that we can do with script file? There are a lot of things you can do with script file, with bash scripting. One, you can store data. It not necessarily mean that we are using our script as a web server to run a code for web server. You can do it for a lot of things. Just imagine, let me quickly show you one thing. Let me show you a command in AWS. If I run this command, AWS on S3 ls, it's going to list my bucket as long as, okay, I don't have permissions on this server. So let me quickly do one thing. Let me add a row to this server so that I can run it. Before you can use a server, you need permission. Before you can run a code, you need permission to run the code. So I just need to go to this server here. I want to make sure I'm running on my server 1. I mean server 2. This server. Okay. So let me add a row to it so that I have the permission that I need. Action security row. Then I want to give it admin access. The reason why is just so that I can be able to list an S3 bucket. So if I go back to my server now, if I run the same code, you can see now I can be able to list a bucket. So now, if what I want to do is more than listing a bucket, let's say I want to view the content. Okay, let's write a code together. Let's view a particular instance on my account, if it is running or not. So there is a command. If I do AWS EC2 describe instance, describe instances, then this command is going to describe all the instances I have in my account. It's just an equivalent to AWS S3 list. This will list out all the web server, all the web server that I have in my AWS account. What if I do not want to view all the web server? I can limit this to a specific web server by just saying -- instance ID, then provide the instance ID. So let me provide the instance ID. Let's use this one so that I can terminate it. I can stop it. So if I put that instance ID, so this command now is going to list out the information of this particular instance for me. So if I press enter now, you can see that it lists out the information of that instance for me. And guess what? I may not want to see all the information about the instance. Maybe what I just want to see about that instance is whether it is running or not. So I can adjust that code to give me the information whether it is running or not. And how do I do this? I just need to specify to query. I need to start querying that instance. So I'm just going to copy. Let me copy all of this so that I can get what I need from it. I don't need to copy it, but I just want to show you how to be able to arrive to that a specific. I'm just going to put all of this. Just let me go a little bit down and put all of them here so that I can refer to it. So here now, I can do this. So if I go back to the command that I ran the other time, this command gave me information about a specific instance, but it gave me all the information about that instance. What if I just want to query a particular data, like whether it is running or not? So I can do query, then specify the reservation. So if you can see, that's why I copied it out. All the information of this server is stored in a reservation file. So that is why I copied this reservation, and this is the reservation that you are seeing here. And I can specify that inside all the reservation, I want to query everything inside the reservation with this command. And once it give me everything inside the reservation, you can see that everything inside the reservation is put in a bracket. So that is why I have it in a bracket, and I say everything inside it. So, and now after I get everything inside the reservation, I may say, okay, I want to get the instances. So I get the instance. I also want to get everything inside the instance. And if you look inside the instance, we have a lot of information inside the instance. But the information that I'm specifically interested in is the state. So I'm just going to say dot states. And if you look at the information inside the instance, all of them are in a list. So I'm going to put this in a list as well. So I'm going to say dot state dot name. You can see inside the state, I have a name. So that's dot state dot name. So once I specify that, I can ask, okay, give me this result, which is which is output, sorry. Give me this result in a test. Give me this result in a dash output is equal to test. So that it should give me this result in a test. So if this query is correct, it's just going to give me running. That means the server is running. So that is the only thing I want. So you can now see that it's actually give me that the server is running. So if I want to know for other server too, then every time I have to be running this code, right? But guess what? I may put this code, all of this, in my terminal, in my share script file, and I may just call it check state, check instance state, check instance state.sh. Okay, I'm supposed to say touch. So I can now do vi check instance state, then put my shebang. Then once I put my shebang, I can just put the command here like this. So when I put the command here, I can say, if you put the command there like that, you have to put all of them in a bracket. Then you can say state is equal, state or instance state is equal to this. So when I say instance state is equal to this, I don't even need to put the bracket at the end. Then I can tell it to echo instance state. So anytime I just need that file, and anytime I need that information, I will just run this file. And don't forget to change the mode, change mode to u plus x, then check, then to run it, I can do slash check. Say command not found, something is wrong with the command. Let me check. Clear. That is wrong. Something is wrong there. VI, go to this file again. Okay, so the problem there is when you are running a share script, you don't give it a space. I put a space here. It doesn't supposed to have a space. Yeah, something is still wrong. It says that line 2, there's an error in line 2. Okay. I will check this one. Let me continue. So when I get to the site, when I get to the, because I want to cover all this area, but I'm going to get the, when I get to the where we run function, I'm going to troubleshoot that. But before that, I want to cover what I have for today. So I'm going to clear this. Actually, don't need this one. So let me explain this. I'm going to troubleshoot that later. So if you want to view, if you want to print out the command that you have in a script, so we understand this shebang. If you want to view the, if you want to print out the command that you have in a script, you want to print it out to the terminal, then you use echo, and that is why I was running echo here. That is why I was running echo here. That's why I was running echo here. So if I view this script again, you can see when we run this script, it actually do not tell us anything. It just deploy all the resources. But one thing that you can do if you want to know, for instance, if your script is having issue, one way to know is by adding some instruction in that file. So one of the instructions that I might do, if I want to know where the script is currently at, I can give it some instruction by saying, I can give it some instruction by saying, hey, I want to know, once you run updated, I can say echo, by passing it some instruction, echo system updated. Because the first command is to update the system. So for me to know whether, okay, it has actually finished updating the system, I can pass like, okay, once you finish running this code here, let us know by running this one, by echo system successfully updated. So that echo will print to the screen so that we will know that, okay, the system has actually been successfully updated. So then after you finish updating the system, then the next command is to install HTTPD. So once you finish install HTTPD, I can also echo some tests to say, okay, HTTPD was installed successfully. Then after that, I might put another. You don't have to put every command everywhere. You just want to put where that are necessary. Then I can echo another command there by saying, okay, the website file not downloaded. And after that, finally, I might put a command here that say, okay, I say echo files copied to the HTML folder completed or successfully. Then finally, I might say echo installation or web deployment was successful. So I can run this file again. So to save, I just do :WQ, then the exclamation mark. So I can run this file again with dash. I think that is web scripts. So now you can see immediately after, because it doesn't see anything to download, and it just prints out for us what we ask is to print out. You can see system successfully updated. Then after that, you say HTTPD was installed successfully. And once it finished that and it goes down, then towards the end, it gave us that a file is, you see what he wrote there? He said files copied to the HTML folder successfully. So now we have informations about, finally, you say web deployment was successful. So now we have some information. So if there is any error in our scripts, we can easily debug it to know where the error is actually coming from, because it's told me if the code was not running or it stopped somewhere, then I can know where precisely the code actually stopped and which one was successful. So that way we can easily debug. So that is the purpose of using an echo. And the second one here, which is called a, and before the echo, there is another one that you can use to pass information, which is called a comment. If you look at, let me clear the screen. No, sorry, not that. Let me clear the screen and open the script again. If you look at here, I just put all the scripts together. If I pass the script to somebody, he may not know what is going on. So I may try to add some information. I may try to add some information for maybe other people that I'm working with so that they know what my script is doing and at what stage. So if you put a pound sign, not the shebang, if you put a pound sign and type something here, maybe if you want to give information when you write this code, just put a pound sign at the top and just say update the server. So this particular one that you put a pound sign in front will not run, it will not execute because it's just for informational purpose. Then every other place that you want to put some information for maybe for later use or for your own benefits, because if you come back to this code maybe in some months later, you want to know what your code is doing. And if you pass it to another person, then you also want to help that person to know what this particular code is doing or command. So here I may put installing or install HTTPD for the web server. So anybody that I pass this to now will know, okay, why do I do this? I can say download a website from free/css.com. Then finally, I can do here like, okay, at this place, maybe why the person is wondering why do I delete this file, I'll just say delete the zip file or the zip folder. That's a file. Delete the zip file after extraction. So now I'm passing some information to my to either myself or to other people that I'll be passing this file to. So this way they know what I'm doing, what the code is doing, and the thought process behind this code. So they know that, okay, I'm updating the server. That is why I ran the sudo yum update -y. They know that, okay, I installed the HTTPD. That is why I run sudo yum install HTTPD, and they know that I'm downloading the website, and they know where I'm downloading it for and things like that. So this is the purpose of comments. We call this comments in the shell scripting. So if I save this and run it again, those ones that I put as comments, it will not execute them. It will only execute those ones that are not in comments. So now you have two means of passing information. The first one is to print out to the terminal so that you can see what the code is actually doing while it is running. And the second one is just to pass information for other people or for yourself for future purpose. So now, if you look at this command, there are some repetition. If you look at our code here, let me clear this. If you look at our code, there are some repetition. Let me view it again. Scripts. There are some repetition there. So we can represent this repetition with a variable. We can save all these file repetition with a variable. So if you look here, I have HTTPD, 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 and things like that. So you can use variable to store a file. I mean, to store data in scripting. So to store data there, or to use a variable, I can just go to the top of my file. Go to the top of my file and just do the variable I want to use. The variable can be anything, but you should try to avoid using keywords such as sudo, such as start. Try to avoid using all those kind of wordings. So let me call this one the web server, or the server engine. Yeah, web server engine is equal to HTTPD. So now you might think like, oh, why do I represent a small word with a longer word? Yeah, it's always good to represent, to use a word, to use a variable, or to name your variable in, to give it a meaningful name, so that if somebody that is not there when you write the code, immediately they see the variable name, they know what the variable simply means. And here, instead of me putting an HTTPD, so I can just use this variable name where I have all the HTTPD, like here. So instead of putting HTTP there, and to call the variable, just put the dollar sign, and put the variable name. And the same thing, everywhere I need a variable, I'm just going to do exactly the same thing there. Everywhere I call the variable, I'm going to do exactly the same thing there. So one thing that this is good is that, look at it now. When I want to change the name of the variable, I have to go to all the file or all the line and change the name of the variable there. So what if I have like 1,000 or 1,000,000 lines of code? That means I have to go to all the line of code one by one and change the HTTP there. But the good thing now, because I've changed this to a variable, anytime I want to change the HTTPD, maybe I want to use something else like Nginx, I don't have to go to the line of code and change it one by one. I just need to change it at the variable declaration, or define, where I define the variable. So if I don't want to use HTTP again, I can change this to Nginx. So guess what? Everywhere that I have my Nginx, they will now be replaced with engine. Everywhere I have my web server engine, they will now be replaced with Nginx. So this is the purpose and the benefit of using the variable